and welcome to another interesting edition. On set this morning is none other than the MD, Fimba Consults Limited, Mr. Nyekeme Fimba. Mr. Nyekeme Fimba, it's a pleasure seeing you this morning.
Yeah, Julie, good morning. Good to be with you. Excited to be here, and to everyone who's watching.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
So how do you do?
I'm
The cold
good.
has not gotten to you.
Very fantastic. We're good. Absolutely, we can adjust to different environments and atmosphere
And temperatures.
and temperatures. Absolutely. So
I told you he's a peak performance strategist, he's a brand consultant, he's a public speaker. He is into a whole lot of things. He's talked about communication, he's a trainer. He is loaded. That was why at the point I had to allow him to, just say it himself so you can hear from the horse's mouth. Right now, we'll be taking a look at how, we can, make it. Are there opportunities here in Nigeria, nay, Akwa Ibom, whereby we can, aspire, we can climb, we can actualize our dreams, our vision, and all that. How did Nyekeme Fimba become who he is today? He was once like you and I from a particular, level in life, but today he's a household name, someone to be reckoned with. How did he do it? Was it here in Nigeria or did he japa? I think I should be asking him this question. Japa to this.
no, we've been here. We've been Nigerians through and through.
So
Wherever
how
we
has it
go,
been? How
we
has
come back. Like I said, I'm a professional. I'm in practice. I add value, and I use every opportunity like I have now to inspire people and to tell people that this is possible. Because making money, because I know that's the real. I love to talk about money a lot. Making money has a formula. You either have a good or you have a service. You have something that you have as a physical good to sell, or you have a service in form of a skill, a professional offering, something that people are willing to pay for if you solve that problem for them. For instance, if you have a tooth problem, you need a dentist. And so someone had gone to school to study dentistry and the rest of the related medical courses. So he's sitting there waiting for you. And so you go in, you pay him, he offers you relief. I love to talk about money a lot. Making money has a formula. You either have a good or you have a service. You have something that you have as a physical good to sell, or you have a service in form of a skill, a professional offering, something that people are willing to pay for if you solve that problem for them. For instance, if you have a tooth problem, you need a dentist. And so someone had gone to school to study dentistry and the rest of the related medical courses. So he's sitting there waiting for you. And so you go in, you pay him, he offers you relief for your pain, for your bad tooth, and you go home. The same thing applies to accountants, to lawyers, to fine artists. They are all solution providers beyond their profession. So what each and every one of us should strive to have is a solution ability, your ability to solve problems. Anyone who does not have a solution ability is going to be hungry because you have nothing to offer people. So what you should ask yourself is, what am I able to really solve in my current place? You may be able to solve problems for people who are in Canada, but do those problems apply to people in Nigeria? What are their income brackets? How am I going to package this solution in a way that is going to be appealing to them? So that's the challenge that people have. And you see, that challenge also comes with our educational system. Because you see, people study courses that do not have direct relevance with the society. So you come out after studying those courses, and because you see, people study courses that do not have direct relevance with the society. So you come out after studying those courses and discover that the skills and the knowledge you have acquired are not really exactly needed the way you studied them in the university, in tertiary institutions. And you see, there becomes a challenge. There's a problem in the employment market that you are all educated, but at the risk of saying it, you are unemployable because that thing you carry is not necessary. I take, for instance, maybe you read psychology or sociology, which is quite fantastic course, or social work in the university, but our society is not modeled to accept professionals like that in many places, and so you see the job options are very limited. So you see, as an individual, that's where personal education comes to play. You must be able to remodel yourself to fit in into that society, so that you'll be able to make money, so that you'll be able to, create meaning for yourself. Otherwise, after a while, you become very, very frustrated. And what drove me there was a sense of value. What we always try to do per time is to create value, to create solutions, and to go out there and see that there is a gap that you are able to plug in. And what drove me there was a sense of value. What we always try to do per time, is to create value, to create solutions, and to go out there and see that there is a gap that you are able to plug in. You must carry with yourself a big picture, and this is what I tell young people. The journey to success, the journey to self-reliance is a marathon. The journey to success, the journey to self-reliance is a marathon. It's not a short race. You must carry that picture of the future in your head. It is that picture that will sustain you. It is that picture that will energize you, because if you look around you and see that nothing is working, it's very easy to give up. You look around, breakfast is an issue, accommodation is an issue, education and fees is an issue. What is going to keep you going, what is going to keep you excited is that fact that you believe in your head that it is possible for you to make it. It is possible for you to break the jinx. And how will you sustain your ability? By looking at others who have already done it. And you ask yourself, how did they do it? That's why reading biographies for me is something I find great joy and value in. How did so and so person make it in a similar situation? What were the steps that he took? What are the pathways for me to getting to that particular level? Who should I get closer to? Who should I align with? What courses? What certifications? What's there? What needs to be done for me to scale from one place to the other? Because I don't believe that miracles happen like that in life. I mean, even if the miracles are supposed to happen, you are supposed to have a role to play in the miracle actually taking place. So life is planning, life is strategy. Where you want to be, it is possible for you to calculate it and say in the next 5 years, okay, I'm going to add one more master's program, I'm going to add this, and this is what I expect to achieve with this. But if you just sit back, hold down your hands and watch the world go by and say one day, me will also be a great man. The truth is that one day, you will not be nowhere, because my personal philosophy is that if you do nothing, you will become nothing. There's no miracle. Your destiny is in your hands. It's a function of what you do. I mean, Newton's first law of motion says a body remains in a state of rest or in uniform motion until it is acted upon by a force. So even if you are praying for miracles, for instance, you need to attend the crusade. You need to go to church. You need to be where the pastor is going to say the prayers. There is always something somebody is supposed to do to get to the next level of life. So sitting down and saying, let's see how things go, let God come down, let manna descend from heaven, such a time will never happen. So our movement has just been divine arrangement, grace, and the fact that we've stayed consistent, we've been proactive, and we've been strategic about our growth journeys, knowing what we should do by time along the way, and pushing for it.
Okay, you've just talked about someone has to do something, and for someone listening now, watching us now, actually, the person might have said, okay, let me start up with maybe selling of groundnuts, maybe a small business. I need to start from somewhere. Maybe they've tried to access loan, and the loan, the whole thing, how it is right now in Nigeria, and the economic situation, there's no money anywhere. Everybody's like, there's no money. People are crying, there's no money. So some might just say, okay, let me just start up with something. But along the line, it's not easy. I have practically seen businesses fold up, businesses that have been on the ground. Now, talking about someone that's just trying to start, and there's no money. How can one, start without money, in fact, let's say with the way the whole thing is, how can you start and then
two factors. Let me help you there. Okay. 2 factors. The universe actually bows for those who don't give up.
Okay.
Once you are, determined, the universe has to bow for you, because you will never take no for an answer. The second part of it is your knowledge level determines your gain level, because the book of Proverbs says, the labor of the foolish wearieth every one of them, for he knows not how to go into the city. So you see, you can be very busy, you can be seemingly hardworking, but you are indeed a very foolish person because you just don't know the right approach. I mean, it's like you want to be a medical doctor, but you end up in law school. No matter how hard you read in law school, you will never end up as a medical doctor. So it's not a function of how tenacious you were in reading law reports, and you'll end up everything else but a medical doctor. So it's your ability to know. That's why studies is important. That's why it's good to read more books. The solutions are there. It's just that you are yet to seek them. It's, for instance, there are folks who've gotten scholarships and fellowships free, and who've been able to even travel out of the country and become so many things. What's the difference between them and those who did not take advantage of those opportunities? Function of knowledge. And you cannot seek knowledge if you don't even know where you are headed. For instance, if I want to be a chef, what am I going to be looking out for? Culinary books, YouTube videos, everything about food will begin to interest me. And so I'll begin to dig for information in that area. So if I don't even know where I'm going to, I won't even be knowing what to seek after. And if I don't have sufficient information, I won't actually know how to go about it. It's like many people who want to end up in the civil service. That's the best they know, because that idea was sold to them that there is job security, which I agree. And I think that those who work in the civil service are wonderful and great and fantastic people. But if that's your entire idea of success in the world, that's the best you're going to get out of it. And you will only grow to the best that where your mind is. But if you also believe that one day maybe you can become an entrepreneur, you can become a wealthy person, you can become a more comfortable person and all of that, and you actually make strides, you make moves to actualizing that, that is also the prospect of what you will actually be. So you begin to ask yourself, what can I do to get here? What are the prospects that if I get into this business, like you talked about selling groundnuts, you're going to ask yourself, how many groundnuts am I going to sell to have 5 million naira? So you're going to do the maths. Everything can be reduced to maths. You're going to ask yourself, if one packet of my groundnut is 1,000 naira, how many packets of groundnuts do I need to sell within a period to have 1 million naira? And so that will determine your strategy. Okay, I can't afford to sell it in a bucket walking round. There must be a strategy that will make me sell to 5,000 people within a week. So you see, that will determine the strategy that you are going to use. Maybe you don't need a shop. Maybe you don't need to hawk the groundnuts along the road, because no matter how hard you walk to hawk groundnuts on the road, you are not likely to sell to 10,000 people, even if you dedicate your entire lifetime, hawking it. So that's wrong strategy. And most times it's not a matter of capital. People complain about capital.
I wanted to ask, because
we talk about
number one issue.
We talk about capital, and we're always looking at money and financial capital. There are many other capitals that it does exist. There is social capital. Social capital is the people, the quality of people you know, and the quality of people that know you. That capital for me is the heaviest. It's one of the best capitals you can ever. It's what we call connection.
Okay, connection.
It's what we call connection. We have different names for it. Some even call it grace. Some call it favor. But it's social capital. How is it cultivated? It is cultivated first from what I mentioned. Your value, your skill, and its relationship to another person. See, no matter how high up there, Bill Gates still needs his barber to give him a haircut. So if I am in the same room with Bill Gates, always giving him a haircut in the morning, what am I discussing with him while having the haircut? From there, I can land a job at the World Bank. From there, I can become a local government councillor. From there, I can be anything. It's a function of my preparedness. It's a function of my mindset. There's someone who will be having a haircut with Bill Gates, and all that is in his head is how to ask him for 50,000, how to beg him for money. There's another person who will be in that same room, and all he needs is a recommendation for him to somewhere. Another person is there and needs, it's a function of your mindset. It's a function of your worldview. It's a function of what you want per time. And there's another person who's also in that room and says, I'm not going to ever ask him for anything because I don't want to abuse this contact. I'm just going to continue to offer him service, and I have a long-term plan to reap from this relationship so that I don't lose this asset, because you can lose assets by unnecessarily disturbing, the privileged people that come into your space. Someone has barely known you for a week or two, you're already asking him for school fees and for rent. The person is going to begin to avoid your calls because you are becoming a nuisance and someone who is adding a lot of problems. So life needs a lot of wisdom to navigate through this. So what you do is for you to determine what is good for you per time. Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. So no matter how exciting opinions people have about your situation, you are the one who really knows yourself, and you know what you need, and you know what your future holds for you based on the picture you have in your head of your future. So that will determine the steps that you are going to take and the actions that you are going to make. But by all means, you should not sit down and do nothing about life and think that something will change.
I think it has to be money first. Now you're trying to say that it's all about the function of our mentality, and not capital in terms of money.
Capital is necessary. Money is necessary.
It's necessary,
you see,
but
no matter how good the idea is, if you don't have the resources to implement it, but unfortunately, there are no Father Christmas is around. So it means that you must find a way around it. You must find a way to get started. You must find a way to beat it. You must find a way. It depends on how hungry you are for what you intend to do. Like when we were on radio, I remember those days at AKBC, Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corporation. We used to trek to that studio. Why? What was my motivation as a university student to be on radio? Because I wanted my name to be heard. I knew if my name will be heard, it will open some doors for me. So every morning I wake up. Not even now that the internet is very perverse. I used to talk sports and I didn't have a good phone, so I would trek to Eka Street to see the days, newspapers, copy football scores, trek back home, have bath, and then trek to the studio way back along Kalabaitu Road. Several kilometers every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. I did that consistently. I get on the radio, you wouldn't know how much effort I put into. Someone is out there enjoying it. So tomorrow, you need a master of ceremony or an MC, and they say it's going to be an Ekeme Finbar. You don't need to have met me. You are like, oh, if it is that same voice that we hear on radio, then that's fantastic. But someone just sits down there and thinks that these things happened overnight.
Yeah.
But we know how much work we had put in to gain that mileage, to gain that advantage, to gain that difference. So you must be ready to pay the sacrifice. You must be hungry enough for it, because unfortunately, life does not really offer us those easy choices, especially if you are born in this part of the world where you're just born into so many things up against you. You must be determined that no matter what happens, I am going to get out of this hole. I'm going to get out of this mix. And if you put on that kind of energy, it's going to give you focus. What people do with money, you wouldn't do it. People sit down and drink away their monies. You know that you have a focus. You know that you have courses to pay for. You know that there are things that you need to do with your own money. So you won't do the things that others are doing. You won't buy the clothes they are buying. You won't wear the shoes they are wearing. You won't be at the parties that they are attending, because you have some sense of focus, because you know exactly how your journey is and what you intend to achieve. So the mindset plays a very critical role, even in the process of making money. There's someone who has 100,000 today and is planning to buy a phone of 95,000. There's another who has that same 100,000 and says, if I get some fruits, get a table and present it in front of my compound every evening, people are going to buy fruits on their way back home from work, or take it to a major road when the stores are going to be closed, and I use that outside space between maybe 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. and sell my banana and my pineapples and stuff. Before the close of day, I make 5,000, maybe I make 10,000, I make 20,000, and it adds up to my money. The other person who bought a phone to get on social media will even be looking for money to add up and all of that. So there are no easy ways out. It's a mindset thing, and we pray that government gets better so that we can support our people. We pray that people of like minds can be there so that you can support our people. We pray that banks live up to their responsibilities of supporting small and medium scale entrepreneurs, because that's the function of many of the banks that we have: microfinance bank, agri banks, business banks. They're supposed to be helping people, because that's what happens in advanced economies. You have systems that help, but in our own climate where you are, there's a local Ibibio proverb that says you are the one that has died and you are the one who is going to bury yourself. You just have to know that you have to do even the unthinkable to get out of the hole.
About doing the unthinkable. Actually, it's not being
the legal. When I mean the unthinkable, that is the unusual, what others
Yes,
are
out of
not
the box.
necessarily doing. You must pay some sacrifices. Like I told you about all those long journeys, that there were days I'll wear a suit, and by the time I get to the gate of the studio, I'll sit by the gate man's house first, because I don't want to look as deplorable as I am moving towards the main studio. So that I don't like people who love PT too much. I am someone who does not like PT. So I sit down there, get some air, let the sweat dry off, and then I move in with my very fine suit, and nobody knows that I trekked several kilometers to the studio, because I know what I intend to achieve. And that's my approach to life generally.